Podcast Charge!
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 132 of LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watched King Drasil's Fatal Decision.
Or Human World Terminated, Yigigidrzil's Decision.
And the Royal Knights Assemble.
Or the Strongest Order of Knights, the Royal Knights get there.
For NewsLatelymon, just to say that thanks to Joe, aka Lonely Distance, we have chapter 3 of Try with the dub. We haven't watched it yet, and we probably won't be covering it maybe until the Christmas holidays, because we are quite busy, and we also have our V-Tamer episode coming out next week. Speaking of Try Chapter 3, an Australian release date has dropped for Chapter 3, and it'll come out in March. So that's only a month between the Australian release date of Try Chapter 2 and Try Chapter 3, which is good, because we had like a 6-month wait, or 7-month wait between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 here.
Isn't there like a 9-month wait between 5 and 6?
Yes, but it's different because the dub was already out in America. The dub of Try Chapter 2 has been out for several months. We've covered it already months ago.
Look, it's hard to localize things into Australian.
Yeah,
you know how hard it is to find voice actors who speak Australian?
Fluently, it's a very difficult language.
Exactly.
They've got mate, and they've got Barbies.
And a lot of words
Sheilas.
you can't say on the radio.
They've got Sheilas. They definitely have Sheilas. You can't do a Digimon show without Sheilas.
You can, but you can't do it without the Didgeridoo Dingo of Australia.
Yeah, those Sheilas. What a Sheila.
What are you doing?
I know, that's an Australian word, isn't
What
it?
bit are you doing right now? Because I'm not following it, and I am Australian.
That's the way Australians speak. Like, oi, mate, I got some VB, and I'm gonna go hit up some Sheilas. Oi, mate, oi, got some durries, mate. And on to Obnoxious Synopsis. The first episode they're watching this week is called King Drasil's Fatal Decision, or Human World Terminated, Yggdrasil's Decision. What do you think will happen in this episode?
So, I'm thinking that we get to see Yggdrasil, right? And Yggdrasil's probably really stupid in some way or the other. And importantly, there's some kind of, I guess, we understand they're god of the digital world. Whether or not that makes them a king in the English, it doesn't really make a difference. What is important is that it's going to say, okay, well, the human world is a threat, so that means we have to destroy the human world now, which is going to turn around the sort of the final arc of Savers from let's save the digital world from humans to we have to save the human world from Digimon. And there is a bit of dramatic irony in that arguably the Digimon were an existential threat to humanity. At the same time, it was all humanity's fault, so who could it be? You could say that's good writing. On the other hand, I could say that I'm digging really deeply for that sort of that sort of information. So who knows? But basically, yeah, it's going to be let's destroy the human world. I don't think it will actually be destroyed, which is what is implied by the terminated. But I think that will be the plan that is stated probably at the end of the episode.
Right. Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
I think Yggdrasil, in everything it ever does, is going to annoy me. Because you would notice, and I've always noticed the thing about Yggdrasil that's the most obvious, is that it's not called YggdrasilMon. So it's not really a Digimon.
Well, neither's Genai.
But yeah, Genai's like a dude.
Or homeostasis.
I know, and that's like an entity that you can't see. Yggdrasil, which is the name of the tree of life, so it should just be a tree, but it's probably not. At which point you have to ask yourself, what is it? Well, in X Evolution, we found out it was a sphere.
It's a marble.
The crystal ball.
Getting really into the 90s.
Well, fair enough.
Actually, I know marbles before the 90s, obviously, but I feel like the resurgence of marbles was the 90s, right?
So, there are weird questions to be asked about this, is all I'm going to be saying. It's going to be a really annoying reveal, and you know what it's going to be? I think that will particularly annoy me. It's not going to explain X Evolution at all, and it's going to make... Because the only thing that's meant to be... They're different universes, so Try's not going to make any more sense because we know what this Yggdrasil is either.
Yeah, because presumably it might be a different one, right?
You'd think?
Unless it's a glass ball in all of them.
It could be? I don't know. We never see the one that's in Try. At least we haven't yet.
I think it's... I'm not sure if we actually will see Yggdrasil in Try. I feel like it's an entity. Like, I feel like it's a... And they say that entity... it's an entity without, like, a form. It's just... It's like a... What's the word? It's just the god. It has no form.
Well, why is it doing anything that it's doing?
I don't know.
Great. You've been watching Digimon for like 20 years and you have no idea what this thing is.
Do you think it'll be a good episode, though?
No.
What rating?
5.
Filler or not filler?
No.
We're not having much filler lately, are we?
Because it's all mild progression, right? You could easily condense all of the events that have happened in the last like 10 episodes into 5, which arguably makes them there's a bunch of filler stuff in them, but that's always how Digimon works.
The writer for this episode will be Inari Mexico, who most recently did episode 27, The Beginning of the End, Chase Kurata, The Operation of Digimon Extermination Begins, and also episode 31, Showdown Between Geniuses, Thomas versus Nanami.
Oh, so it should be probably pretty good.
And also episode 36, Awaken Belphmon, or Demon Lord Belphmon Revives.
I don't remember that one being any special.
Yeah, but the episode 31, that was really I think that was probably...
That's the standout of their run on Digimon, I guess.
The second episode we're watching this week is called The Royal Knights Assemble, or The Strongest Order of Knights, The Royal Knights Gather.
Imperial Digimon is in there, so I guess they would be the strongest order of knights.
What do you think will happen in this episode?
You know, I think that these guys will show up. They sort of looks like knights in armor, so they're probably called the Royal Knights, right? And then someone's going to say, oh my god, that's the Royal Knights. Those guys are so cool. They're the best good guys of the digital world. Oh no! Why are they being evil? I never saw this coming. There's no way, because they're such good guys. They're just such good guys. What the hell's up with this? I don't know what to tell you. I'm sick of this storyline. We've seen literally every time the Royal Knights show up, and I think this will be no different.
So besides, hey, look at those guys. They're meant to be good. Why are they attacking us? Do you think anything will annoy you in this episode?
No, it's that. Let's not mince words. It's that every time. Also, I guess seeing the thing that Vmon turns into and seeing all the like Dukemon or whatever, and anyone who has shown up in other seasons showing up in this is just gonna be like increasingly weird.
Right.
Like what's it called? The gold one.
Magnamon?
Magnamon. Seeing Magnamon X Evolution was dumb. It's really stupid.
Look, I'm always looking forward to seeing Dukemon because I love the way Dukemon speaks, especially in the original version, how it has that grandma voice. It's like, Dukemon. I'm like, I love you.
It would really mess with me if in the English you got like Takado's voice mixed with the Guilmons. Like it's Tamers still.
Well, they did that in Frontier, remember?
No.
In the dub, in Frontier, they go to the marketplace and they're asking around for the detectors, and it has the dual split voice.
I didn't even notice. Well, not that I didn't notice. I probably noticed. I don't remember. That was a long time ago, and I scrubbed most of Frontier out of my brain. It's mostly Lucimon bouncing them off of the No Planet.
Oh.
Which is the best part of that show, and also the worst.
Yeah. I think it was the most we've felt towards Frontier.
It's most entertaining, probably.
Yeah. Do you think it'll be a good episode?
No.
What rating?
4. Like,
wow.
really, really pessimistic. And like,
I mean, you hate the Royal Knights.
Totally willing to get proven wrong. But honestly, everything the Royal Knights have ever shown up, the show just like goes to hell. There's never been a time, I think, where the Royal Knights as an organization have shown up and it's been even decent.
Also, there is a weird, I guess, error-ish in the English version with one of the Royal Knights' names.
Oh, great.
It's been given a name before. And I guess I'll say it now. You know Crusadermon?
No. Wait, from
Frontier.
Yeah.
It's Lord Nightmon.
Ooh, no!
Yeah.
That's not right.
Like, whatever.
Does Lord Nightmon show up later?
Well, it's the Royal Knights.
Is that a yes?
Just say all the Royal Knights are in this.
Okay.
It's not just 2 of the Royal Knights, it's the Royal Knights.
Okay. So there will be 2 Lord Nightmons, is what you're saying.
What do you mean?
Well, if Crusadermon's named wrong, and Lord Nightmon's the pink one...
No. Crusadermon is Lord Nightmon.
Oh, so it's just... He's given the Japanese name.
Kind of. It's actually Rodo Nightmon, or Lord Nightmon.
Okay, that's Lord Nightmon, yeah.
Yes, but no, Rodo is because it's pink.
That's also pretty funny.
Yeah, it's a pun, but it's Crusadermon in Frontier.
Okay.
But I just thought I'd mention that because I found that was an interesting thing because I watched the English version today. So yeah, just fresh in my mind. So filler or not filler? Do I even have to ask?
No, it's not.
Yamada Kenichi was the writer for this episode, and Yamada recently did episode 28, which was Digivice Meltdown, Evolution is Impossible, the Digivice Breakdown, episode 32, The Sacred City's Last Stand, or Fiercely Attack Kurata's Army Corps, Protect the Holy City.
Pretty sure this is going to be absolute trash.
And episode 37, The Battle with Belphmon, which is Awaken Agumon, Defeat Belphmon, which I like that episode.
Oh, it's fine, but it's not fine because of their writing. That's the one that I'm pretty sure that included Masaru running to the top of the building, jumping off it, falling 20 stories, and then saying, you know what, I missed, but I'm going to go again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah, good writing that was not.
Yeah, well, yeah. Any other thoughts about these episodes?
No, let's go. Royal Knights are going to ruin the whole thing. That'll be fun.
Alright, on to the show. This week we'll be covering episode 39 and 40 as one episode because nothing happened in episode 39. It was a clip show, but it was an effective clip show.
It was fine. Can we not Can we mention very briefly what the clips are about and not talk about them?
Yes, oh no, I haven't written down every single clip. I've got basically the important moments or what characters said in the now, but I didn't like write down everything from the flashbacks.
Fair enough.
Because we've already there weren't like new flashbacks, there were flashbacks we already had. So
to be fair, the reason I mentioned it is because you very much like to talk about flashbacks. We've done it for years.
The only times I've mentioned flashbacks
is every time they come up.
I only mention when in the dub they change it or it's inconsistent to the original actual scene, which is quite often. What the dub likes to do, and it happens a lot in this episode, is that they change the lines because they are using the video from this episode and they're not going to use the audio from previous episodes, so they just redo the scene.
Can I confirm that they changed the English line for Kurata when he goes to take over Belphemon? He's like, if I can't control it remotely, I'll do it personally, or something like that.
Yeah, that wasn't his line.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
No, because we mentioned, I think we made a point to say what the line was in the English version originally, because what he did say was, then I will have to go inside him.
Yeah,
like,
that's
referring to, that's where Relena was meant to go.
Yeah, and that's in the Japanese in the flashback here. It's very clear that's what the case was. So but I think we had a letter like, no, she was going to get fused with a Digimon or something, and that was what the surgery was going to be. It clearly wasn't. It was clearly going to be Belphemon, and that's confusing.
I mean, I got the impression it was meant to be, at least in the English version, it was meant to be Belphemon.
And now the English flashback is telling you a different story entirely. I guess where it's saying, no, it really was that she was meant to be a biohybrid, and instead Kurata was always planning to control Belphemon. Maybe? It's confusing.
Anyway, so in the recap, we get the scene of Masaru in the ball of fire, and I still think it's a weird scene. I'm not sure why he should be dead. And then we see the city is pretty much blown up everywhere. And in the digital world, the sky, like, it's appearing in the sky, the real world, and we then find out it's vice versa. And we find out the dimensional barrier is down. Thomas says it's not possible for both to exist, and both will be obliterated.
Okay, let's be very clear about what he says. I've done the calculations, and I've also made this sweet graphic on my computer that combines the two worlds together and then goes disappear. So, it's not that they will be destroyed, it's that they will disappear, which is interesting. He's just talking about matter ceasing to exist. And I always wonder with these things, who spent the time making this animation? Because it's not like he had a program already designed ahead of time of what happens if two worlds overlap. And also, it would take more than a laptop to like do the calculations to say any of that for certain, I'm sure. And I know it's a kid show, but I don't let that sort of thing go.
So we get Hirari, which is my favourite part of every episode, by the way. But it's quite early. Usually we get it like halfway through the episode. This was just after the recap. So we know it's going to be a good episode, full of lots and lots of new content. It's not. When
it became evident it was not only a clip show, but like kind of an abusive clip show, that it was very frustrating.
Still better than the Atmon one.
Oh, definitely, because the Atmon one didn't tell a story.
Craniumon is talking to Yggdrasil. In the dub, Craniumon was changed to Craniumon. And also, King Drasil has a computery voice. Like, there's like a computery robot-y voice.
Yeah, it's like digitized. But he's clearly a person, and not only that, but he has a voice that sounds really familiar.
I didn't look at his voice actor.
Because it's like the exact voice of someone else in this show.
Well, we have also seen Spencer speak before.
That's true, but it's not that voice. Sorry, what did you say Craniumon was changed to?
Craniumon.
That's the same word.
No, it's Craniumon and Craniumon.
Oh, well, okay, so there's one M taken away. I couldn't tell. Sorry, I heard it and it didn't sound any different to me.
It's got a slight change. So what I noticed about the computery voice is even in the next episode, it's still computery even after we know the identity.
Because that's his voice, which is probably better than them taking it away once you know who he is, because that's a weird thing for you to do.
Yeah. And we see that Yggdrasil kind of looks human. Yggdrasil says that they can save the digital world by removing the human world because the human world deserves to be annihilated.
Well, that's a really, that's the general way of going about it. I actually think that the way it's presented is really good, which is the reality of the situation is that if nothing is done, both worlds will be destroyed. So there has to be a sacrifice. It may as well be the other guys. That is probably amongst the best bad guy motivations there has ever been in Digimon. I'm struggling to think of if there have ever been any better.
What was Leviathan's motivation? Just, I
Rule
want
the
to take
world?
over. Yeah, that's fair.
The motivation of this bad guy is it has to be one of us. I would, if I had a choice, it would be neither of us. I'd be a good guy and it would be fine. But since I have to choose, it may as well be them. And here's why.
Yeah, also, throughout the whole episode, he does give good reasons for why. And, like, look how, even though there are some humans who are good, look at how corrupt humans are. They are corrupting Digimon. They are hurting our Digimon, and yes, they're being sent back by good people, but just because they're good people doesn't make up for how many terrible people there are. And look at Kurata. He rose one of the Demon Lords up.
It's funny because of how transparent this argument is when every bad example he gives is actually just Kurata.
Oh, yes.
So whereas the argument is made, well, there are a few good people, most of them are really bad. A vast majority of humans who have an active decision-making role are making good choices, and there's one bad guy.
He's also referencing, like, just the regular humans that we had in the first arc, which was, you know, the 7 deadly sins. We had the greedy ones, and they were mainly all greedy ones, actually.
But he couldn't, well, presumably he wouldn't know about them.
Yeah.
He was mentioning Digimon going to the real world in general. He wasn't referencing, like, bank robbers, because he doesn't know who they are.
But mainly, the reason is Kurata. But still, even, he's not just saying, I want to destroy the human world because all humans are terrible. He's saying, it's them or us, and they're terrible.
Yeah.
Like, they have terrible humans there, and we're all innocent, and I'd rather not die, so it's them or us. So there are two reasons. I think if it was on its own, just like, I want to destroy the human world because Kurata's awful, I feel like that would be a bit sort of, he just kill one dude.
Yeah, but
kill one dude.
I guess also there's something to be said for that Kurata comes in with other humans as well, so maybe they appear more representative. It's hard to say. What is important, I guess, while we're on this topic of his justification, I think this is the time where he says, but you know what, I understand. He says he calls them dats, he knows who dats are, and he says, I know that there are some good ones and they have partners who they treat with compassion. And the most interesting framing of all, which is, I don't know, maybe this is the English bit. No, it is the English bit. I'm thinking of when, in the English version where they say, rather than dats being kind and compassionate and a rare example, he calls them like horrible people who beat up Digimon and who enslaved their partners. But when they defeat the Digimon, turn them to eggs and send them back to the digital world, he sees that as that's the nicest thing that they do, and it's a generous kindness he didn't expect of them. It's such a weird framing of it because and this is kind of what I like, it's such an alien perspective because you would never get that from the human side. It seems so cruel to beat them up like this and send them back.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've killed them, and Agumon so desperately doesn't want to go back. It's framed as such a negative thing. And then the god of the Digimon's like, no, this is great. I love it. And they love it too, probably. I don't know. I'm just God.
Yeah, he's saying, well, the Digimon are working alongside the humans, and they're working alongside the humans to send the Digimon back where they belong. They're not killing them. They're just sending them back to Digi-Eggs, and they're happy, and they're going back to where they belong. That's fine.
No, they're not working alongside the humans, remember. They're enslaved.
In the dub, they're enslaved.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. But in the original, it's very sort of positive, and he's saying...
Yeah, Dats is great.
He's saying, look, Dats is great, but they don't make up for what Kurata's done at all. And I don't know, I just really like the fact that... I don't know, I like the way he's saying we have to kill them, but it's just... I don't know. I really like how he's actually respecting Dats, and he's referencing Dats, and he likes Dats, but it just sort of... He's saying it doesn't make up for all the bad that the humans have done, like Kurata. But I don't see why they had to remove that part, and they just made him, for some reason, hate Dats. I'm like, no, but they brainwashed the Digimon. And because it just was meant to be this all-seeing, all-powerful, all-knowing god.
I would never call him that. Maybe in the digital world, but it's very clear he's not aware of what's going on in the human world.
I know, but in the digital world, he's seen what Dats have done. And
that's true.
He knows that Digimon are being sent back, and he knows about that much, and he knows that Dats are good.
Well, and it's weird because he would have seen like Mercurymon be happy with Ikuto and like humans to an extent there. So yeah, the blanket feeling would be weird, but it's just the English and they're weirdos. What I did notice, or at least what I think I noticed, I can't really remember how Craniummon acted in the Japanese, but I feel like he was really like... He was super on the human side. All the questions were like, what? No, there must be some good ones.
100% in both versions. And he asked lots of questions that I feel like the viewer would be asking.
He's such like an evil-looking guy. It's so fascinating to see him like, I need to know... this is I need to give them credit because these Royal Knights are really interesting.
Yeah, because they're actually... He's saying, but is that justice? Like, he's saying, well, why are we hurting them? Why are we killing them? Why do they deserve to die? And he's just all saying, it's them or us. But look at all these examples of terrible humans. Yeah. Or one terrible human.
Because they have totally legitimate reasons to do what they're doing. And if circumstances were different, they would be good guys. And you totally understand why they're bad. And they're not bad necessarily. They are doing what's best for themselves and for their world, and they're following their god. Who they said it a couple times. They follow him directly, and that god has laid out his reasoning, and that reasoning is really sound. That's a classic good villain writing, I guess, where you go, if I was in that situation, would I do the same thing? Probably. I probably wouldn't even go into all the reasoning. It's just like, well, it's them or us.
And the good thing is, no one's saying, oh, the Royal Knights are always good. The people in this, the Royal Knights obey the law of their god or their king.
The very closest thing they got was when they all introduced at the end of the next episode, and they go, and they all follow their own justice or something like that. So it is implicit that they're all good, but what's important is it is not explicit that they are evil.
It's their own justice to them, whatever's good to them.
Well, that's what I mean is like that. It's not. It is made clear in the story from the very beginning that they're not doing this to be evil. They're doing it for a particular reason, which makes perfect sense. Which is a first. And Yggdrasil is not a crystal ball for some reason.
Yeah, he's a person.
Well, presumably he's like it is like what's it called? Homeostasis, where it's actually just possessing the dad.
Right.
I was so ready. And I know this is really dumb, but I was really ready for when it was zoomed up. And I sort of guessed it would be Masaru's dad because it makes the most sense. But I was kind of hoping it would zoom up and it was young Jedi. And I was like, oh my god, Try makes sense now! Yeah. And you've just been sandbagging it for like 2 years!
Yeah, the entire time, the true identity of Yggdrasil is just Jedi, not a glass ball.
Wouldn't that make way more sense for how, like... Wait, would that Try make more or less sense if Yggdrasil was actually a young Jedi?
I think more, but also, like, I don't know. I feel like there'd be a lot of questions about why Jedi is in the Savers universe. Is he Ryo?
No, because it's not. Because young Genai is just Yggdrasil, and old Genai is probably dead.
That's fair. So Yggdrasil is back to the actual plot. Is explaining how humans interacted and how they interact with the digital world, and they tried to link their worlds, and then is basically convincing Craniumon that humans are bad. So it's quite interesting. He says they tried to link the worlds. The reason this collision is happening is their fault. So yes, while it is Kurata's fault, that's a very good point. The worlds wouldn't be linking if it wasn't for the humans.
Or for this one human, yeah.
Yes, but he's blaming the humans because of the one human's actions.
You know what I realized, which is really weird? 2 things in this flashback. Actually, first of all, he says, as far as the first expedition, it's around the time when Kurata starts firing a gun at that fire cat. Mm-hmm. He says, they began to eliminate Digimon without justification. No Digimon were killed in that first expedition. He failed to kill that Digimon.
Yes.
He tried, but he didn't do it. And were we meant to infer that Digimon actually died during that? Because it seemed pretty clear to me that none of them ever did.
No, I think that first ever expedition was quite peaceful. I mean, it did have Saberleomon try to kill Spencer, but then Spencer punched him in the face and Marukimon showed up and said, I like you.
Yeah, but what I mean is like...
Go meet God.
So is Yggdrasil just wrong?
I don't know.
He says they began to eliminate Digimon without justification. That is a quote from the Japanese.
Yeah, then it's wrong then.
Further question. So Kurata, we can at least suspend our disbelief and say in the 10 years between the first expedition and the now of the story, or just before he died, I guess, Kurata built up and got robots and got the funding and talked to people. But back in the day, he was just a nerd on the exploration team and he had no influence because he was an assistant, right?
Yes.
How did he make the space-time oscillation bombs and no one knew?
Well, that's always been like your argument, right? About how he went from assistant to sudden super rich, hyper rich.
But like
genius, right?
Even if I say I'm suspending my disbelief in the meantime, between then and now, that he managed to build it up in a period of time, fine. How did he have space-time oscillation bombs back then, and his boss didn't know about it? So, you're saying this nobody scientist who is like is literally a nobody at this point. He's somebody's assistant, invented dimensional travel. The same level of scientists are actually smarter people than him, Ikuto's parents, invented portal travel that requires a big machine to be powered constantly. And this random kid invented a way to throw a grenade and tear a hole in space-time.
Yeah, no, I see your point.
And no one asked him questions when he was developing it, or no one found out about it. And he snuck it in, by the way, this giant sphere. He snuck that into the baggage and didn't tell anyone.
But that's already something we've already discussed before. It's not really relevant directly.
I just remembered it because I don't think I'd ever covered this particular one.
No, you did.
Because I didn't remember the people going, well, what the hell is that? I kind of at the time accepted, of course they would know what it is. Why would they know what it is?
So I'm not sure if I just missed this in the original version, but I'm pretty sure in the dub we get an edited clip of Yggdrasil's eye. I think we only got the shot of the jaw in the original, but I could be wrong about this. Then we get a bunch of clips that we've already seen, and in the dub, I want to point out that instead of getting the gun scene with Kurata, pointing the gun at the Lynxmon, we get happy jumping Gomamon. And while the voiceover says how horrible humans were.
And Gomamon's like, yeah, humans, this is awesome.
You know the clip I'm talking about, where the Gomamons are jumping happily. I don't know why that was replayed, but okay. Craniumon asks if it's necessary. Yggdrasil tells them all about the genocide, and Yggdrasil says that he continued to watch to see if humans really deserved to die. So he's not just saying, and from that moment I knew that humans were terrible. He continued to watch from then on in. The DATS team are watching the havoc unfold in the real world, and they're trying to rescue people.
They save a plane from crashing.
Which seems to be the thing that happens whenever the digital world is in the sky in Digimon, right?
Well, yes, when things are going wrong in the sky, it turns out it affects aeroplanes.
Yggdrasil explains that DATs were overshadowed by humans doing the wrong thing, but he does give them credit for helping at the very least. And I really like this part, and we mentioned it briefly before. I like this part. However, in the dub, he's like, oh, these DATs, they're terrible, and they brainwash their Digimon. And he's so super harsh about DATs.
Yeah, we cut forward to that one before.
And I think that this is just a huge change. I'm not sure if I misread this, but in the original, he is definitely all on board, and he's giving credit to DATs. And he's saying, look, they worked they worked alongside Digimon.
Yeah.
But in the dub, they brainwashed Digimon.
That's super weird. Then we cut to a hard minute of Mercuriumon's death, and it's confusing, because I'm not sure what that flashback is meant to be proving. Because it can't prove his point that humans are bad, because Mercuriumon dies, but he, in that same scene, is talking about how Ikuto's great and should live as a human.
Yeah, no, I do like this scene. Of the scene we've already seen. It's the scene
know.
Where he says, you should live as a human with a Digimon heart.
The fact that you like that scene doesn't mean that it belongs in this discussion.
I think it could have been shortened down because it is...
Yes, if you cut off that first bit and just show him getting killed, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, him just being killed would have been fine. They didn't need the whole scene.
Context, which is important.
Because it's him also dying for a human.
Yeah, exactly.
In a good way. This human has changed his life. Then we get a clip of Saber Leomon dying, and the dub... For some reason, he says "go" as he dies, and I don't remember him originally saying that. But it's
who
funny.
Would he be saying "go" to?
I don't know.
He wasn't protecting anyone.
He's just saying "go." It's just funny.
There's a hard 2 minutes of Kurata dying.
Yeah, and then this is the end of it basically. Craniumon says, "Look, you're right. Humans deserve to die. It's them or us. You're right. We have to save our world. I'll get the other Royal Knights." Back to the real world, Masaru feels useless, and then there's a giant tree of Digisoul, and it's Bancho-Leomon doing something. He's unleashing his orange Digisoul to hold up the worlds.
Wait, did Digimon have Digisoul? Is that a thing?
Apparently, we now know that it's a thing.
Well, this one does,
Yeah,
but does that mean that maybe Bancho-Leomon's just human?
Well, he has... Do we not know that Digimon have Digisoul? I think it's very obviously proven in the scene that Digimon have Digisoul,
I
Jay.
thought it was implicit that they didn't. I thought that was part of a thing that only humans had, and that
Maybe
was why partners work.
Maybe he's so strong because he does know a lot about Digisouls. So maybe it's called isn't it called Digimon Natural Ability?
Yeah, but I assumed it was a human's effect on Digimon. That's because it's human emotions that they feed on, not just emotions generally.
Toma asks if it's possible. I'm like, that's a very good question, but apparently it is possible, Toma.
Apparently, it's only possible because
it's in the script.
I guess that explains why Bancho-Leomon would be in a position to teach them about Digisoul. But
so it explains why Bancho-Leomon took them to a dojo and taught them about Digisoul, because he is the authority on Digisoul.
Wouldn't explain why he knows what burst mode is.
Well, maybe he's burst mode. I don't know.
No, you need to have a Digivice burst or whatever, and he's never seen one before.
Bancho-Leomon says that his Digisoul will be the foundation, And he says that Masaru should go to see Yggdrasil. And then we find out the Banshee Leomon's frozen, and Masaru screams.
I was really hoping he had died. Because of the way Masaru responded, I was like, yeah, Leomon death! Woo!
I think you're too happy to a Leomon death.
It's fun, okay? We already had one this season, but I'll take a second.
I also think that Marukimon's still kind of like a Leomon-looking dude.
It's a wolf.
Okay,
it's not even a cat.
He's Wolf Leomon.
You can't be Wolf Leomon. Also, he's got a human face. He's not a Leomon at all.
So Masaru says they have to go. Yoshino asks how, and Masaru says it's right there. And Nakuto and the others end up saying that they'll go. That's the end of our clip show.
I feel like they say that Banshee Leomon is doing this on top of Mount Fuji.
Yeah, he is.
Mount Fuji's tiny in this show.
They also climb Mount Fuji very quickly. I mean, I guess they fly.
No, but like Mount Fuji's gigantic.
Yes.
And in this show, it's like a hill.
Remember when we flew past it?
We
and
did.
It was basically like, look, it's Mount Fuji. I'm like,
It's
yep.
massive.
That sure is a mountain. Very large.
It's not like right next to... well, I don't know where the city is physically, but I don't imagine it's like at the foot of Mount Fuji. And if so, I think Mount Fuji's really, really big. Okay, think about it this way, right? The fact that you could see Banshee Leomon from a distance on top of the mountain tells you something.
Maybe he's just very big, Jay.
No, because they walk up to him and he's like a human size.
So then the second episode starts, and Chika and Sayuri send a message to Masaru from his Bluetooth headset, and it's kind of sweet. Chika says to not push himself, and Sayuri says to be back by dinner time. And
I'm making fried eggs.
This is so cute. I'm so happy.
Toma and Yoshi get nothing. They just get completely ignored. So, you know, it's not like there's any other main characters or anything.
Look, I thought this was really cute, this scene.
Oh, and I also feel like in the last episode, just before Banshee Leomon gets super frozen, he's like, Masaru, your dad was really cool, so you have to save everyone. Only you can do it. Sorry, did you say you had friends there? No, you don't. It's just you.
I feel like this season has very quickly become like...
The Masaru show?
Yoshino's not a character.
Oh, she's gone. She may as well not be there.
She's better than Izumi.
Sure, but I would be interested to know if from here to the end of the series, if Yoshi wasn't there, if anything would change.
Look, the writers have basically learned to poo on the solid, the wooden floor instead of the carpet now.
And they're still pooping in the house.
They're still pooping in the house.
And not where they're meant to.
Also, I'm not talking about in terms of plot. I'm talking about in terms of, like, gender issues. We went from Rookie, where they're pooing outside. They are
they're
outside.
a dog. Okay, got it. They're a dog.
Yeah, in this analogy that they're a dog. The dog is going to the doggy door pooping outside.
I thought Rookie was pooping in the toilet.
Okay, no, you're right. No, Eri is pooping in the toilet.
Wow, this is a weird series of analogies, by the way. I just want to quote you of Eri is pooping in the toilet.
I think Mimi I think she's pooping on paper by the door.
Oh my god.
Like, she's pooping...
This is now uncomfortable.
But, okay, Izumi's just pooping on the carpet.
I really feel like I could get arrested for being part of this conversation.
No, like, Izumi is just, like, rubbing it into the carpet. She's just, like, she's done a poop, and now she's just rolling around it on the carpet.
Yeah, with her big knees.
Oh, no. Yoshino is on the carpet. She's on the floor. Like, the wooden floor, so it's easy to clean up, and she just does a bit of a poo. Just a bit of a poo. You can clean it up.
Are the women dogs? Is that how you see women now?
No, the writers.
But you're saying like she, like...
No, I'm saying that the writers of these characters.
This is a rough metaphor. You might want to give up while you're not too far behind.
What I'm saying is, I feel like Yoshino's better written than Izumi because she actually has character and she's had decent episodes. But I feel like as the season has progressed, she's become less of a character and more of a... She's there, but she's not a sexy lamp.
That's true, she's not a sexy lamp.
Because she has more character and she has a catchphrase. It's, "This is the worst." Rosemon's a sexy lamp.
Rosemon's such a sexy lamp.
Actually, no, she's a sexy flower.
No, the whole point is like... It's just a lamp.
Though I still maintain that the Rosemon versus Bio Spinomon was a good episode.
Sure.
You liked it. You said you liked it. Did you lie to me?
It was fine. So
it's very windy when they're going to the digital world, and they all fall to their deaths at the end.
Yay! We get to leave now.
Lalamon is dead. She's stuck in the ground.
She vomits sand, you mean?
It's pretty funny. And we see that the Earth is in the sky. Yoshino sits on a rock, and we find out it's Gotsumon. Apparently it's the same one, but I don't know how they figured it out.
It's weird, right? Because he goes, "God, I've never met you guys before in my life." And he go, "I don't know." Then he says something, like, "It's him." But it didn't say anything incriminating,
No, I didn't get the part. I feel like it's just the characters trying to make us say, "Hey, look, it's definitely him." I'm like, how?
Well, they thought it was him. And then he's still arguing, whatever, and then I can't remember what happens.
So Thomas says he's different because he was reborn, and then
Oh yeah, that's it.
Gotsumon says that he was in the ground because a Digimon landed on him, and
now I can't remember.
And then Masaru's like, wow, that really sucks. That must have hurt. And then he and Agumon and Gotsumon all laugh.
And there's like a flashback, and it's
Shine Greymon. In the dub, Marcus and Agumon found the story boring and says that the only good information was that it's good for sleeping. And that's why they laugh. And they actually put a joke there instead of them just being like, wow, that's a story. Ha 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 ha. What a great story, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Now, how's your sex life? That movie's it's coming back. It's getting a resurgence.
I'm seeing all the memes again, and I'm just feeling like, is this 2006?
People are seeing it for the first time.
Yeah, you still haven't seen it.
I've seen most of it. You leave me alone. I read the book of the Disaster Artist.
Gotsumon knows where Yggdrasil is, and the team talk about whether or not they should trust him. In the dub, of course, God is changed to ruler. So Yggdrasil, or King Yggdrasil, is the ruler of the digital world.
It's such an interesting... Sorry, it's like King Drazel. Right?
Drazel, yeah.
Drazel. There's a weird pronunciation to it.
I will just say King Yggdrasil because it sounds like Yggdrasil.
Yeah. I think it's weird, I don't know about you, that a Digimon can wake up and get out of an egg and not really know anything, not know the people it was just fighting, but we know exactly where God is.
Okay, so what this shows us though is that
it implies that all Digimon know where God is.
But
the
also
Agumon doesn't.
It also implies that Digimon who have partners or who are linked to a Digivice will have their memories when they're reborn.
Yes.
Digimon who are linked to humans without a Digivice will have vague memories, and Digimon who are not linked to a human have no memories.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's very plot convenient on who has memories and who doesn't.
Yes.
Because like, Gotsumon doesn't.
To stop it from being plot convenient, we will invent these rules and assume they're correct.
Well, I hope they're correct. Because if it's not, Masaru says, if you don't go in the butt, you won't get the target cub. In the dub, he says, nothing adventured, nobody gets blamed. So it's,
that's
of course,
pretty funny.
I think that's a fair enough.
What's the butt tiger cub thing? I didn't get it.
My Japanese is super bad, but I believe den and butt have similar kanji in it.
So
what he means is...
so it's a phrase. If you don't go to the den, you don't get the tiger cub.
Yes.
Okay.
But he's saying if you don't... In the butt.
Which is nothing ventured, nothing gained, but the Japanese version.
Yeah, so this is actually a reasonable change in the dub, and it still has Marcus messing up the line a bit. It's still nothing adventured, nobody gets blamed.
I think that one's really funny because it's so... That is technically also true. So it's one of those things where you go, I understand why he would think it's that. Whereas if you don't go in the butt, you don't get the cub is actually such nonsense that no one would ever say it.
Yeah. Or maybe it sounds like... I know there's some Japanese thing, and I should have written it down.
It's a lot like knowledge is power, Francis Bacon.
Yes.
It's my favourite.
In the original, Agumon missays Yggdrasil quite a bit, and Toma corrects him. In the dub, he says it properly, and this
Sounds
joke
like
is removed.
Yggdrasil.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, that's the English writing out of what he says.
Yes.
I can't discern when he says the word
He's just mispronouncing it, I'm pretty sure. Yoshino asks why they don't travel by evolving and flying, and Thomas says the skies have air turbulence and it's worse than what they experienced earlier, so they can't fly. I love this.
No, okay. So, on one hand, I go, great, they gave an explanation. That's good enough. On the other hand, they're standing on a tiny ledge. If the air is so turbulent, it's going to blow them off and they're all going to die. So they may as well risk flying.
Okay, no, I do see your point now, but I'm just saying...
And Shine Greymon's really powerful. I think he'll be fine.
I know, I really liked the fact that they gave it an explanation.
Oh, yeah, no. They gave it... But the thing that's weird about it is they didn't have to, because the moment they finish explaining, they cut away and they're already there.
Like, how many times...
Oh, they have to explain while they're on the ground.
Yeah, but how many times have we yelled at the show, like, just evolve?
Yeah. No.
Savage does really well with the evolutions, because two things we've argued about evolution-wise is, one, they always go to their strongest form. There's no reason why they don't. Why are they going to adult and not ultimate? That makes no sense.
I know. And they do it well in this one. And what I think the funniest thing about it is it makes all your arguments from every other season just immediately wrong.
Yes. Well, I was always making up, like, maybe it takes up too much power.
Now Savage is like, no, they're just dumb.
Like, when was the last time we saw Geo Greymon?
We don't. We don't see him anymore.
Was it the Rise Greymon episode?
Yeah, probably.
Or a flashback? But no, the point is, Atmon and Savers both do it really well in the way that they either give a reason why you wouldn't go to your strongest form, and that's the time limit in Atmon. which you get a better Digivice, and that rule changes.
In this one, it's that burst mode is not entirely reliable yet.
I think you also have to trigger burst mode. I think, from what I can tell, is it's an evolution you have to trigger again. And
That's weird.
You need, like, extra Digisoul. You need super Digisoul. But I'm fine with that. It's fine. Or at least Marcus is bad.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for the Geo Grey Sword. You have to get a certain amount of Digisoul there too. But I think it's really nice how they actually give reasons for not evolving, and they always evolve to their strongest form. I think that's probably one of the best things in Savers for me, because it directly relates to arguments that we've had before about the show.
Yeah, it has.
But yeah, Atmon also does it well and then as soon as they get the ability to surpass the time limit, they always go to their strongest evolution, because why would they not?
Exactly.
Like, why would you ever go to... after we got Globemon, did we see Dorgatchmon?
Pretty much never.
Never.
I think we would in, like, small episodes. That didn't mean anything.
But to be fair, there was also a reason, because you might need Dorgatchmon's powers over Globemon's. They always gave a reason for why.
I guess.
But the point is, it's rare about how few Digimon seasons give reasons to why evolve and why not evolve.
I'm sad how we saw Navimon after a while.
Yeah.
Just disappeared.
All the arguments between Gatchmon and Navimon.
Just gone forever.
Like, they didn't give a personality to them anymore.
They used Navimon that one time and it was awesome.
At least in the Olympics episode, that was good.
No, I mean when they were tracking down Mianumon.
Oh yeah, that was good too.
That was like the last time it was ever useful.
Great.
It was
that was
sweet.
Great. So in the dub, they don't have enough energy to deal with the winds. So they could do it, but at the moment they're just too weak.
That one makes a little bit more sense.
I prefer this line because, as you said, they're on a small ledge.
They'll all die.
But of course, it does go back to excuses they've used in previous seasons of why don't they evolve? Oh, they're out of energy.
That's fine. I'll accept that.
Like, I'm pretty sure it was used in Adventure whenever we needed to have an evolution episode. It was always, oh, we don't have energy to evolve, and then all of a sudden the kid of the episode is able to evolve and the others can't.
Yay.
And they get the episode 1 power boost for the evolution. The government has declared a state of emergency, and Chica asks if they'll evacuate. Sayuri says that it's the same no matter where they are, and she says how Masaru and the others will be sad if they come back and no one's here. For some reason, even though we only get small scenes with them, I just love the scenes between them.
Nice.
However, you know what I'd like?
Yeah?
Where are Yoshino's family? Yoshino has sisters.
No, she doesn't. What are you talking about? She doesn't have a family.
Like, wouldn't it be nice
That require them to write her a backstory.
if when, like, Chika and Sayuri were messaging Masaru, Yoshino got in contact with her family and said, hey, I love you.
I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah?
We've seen parts of her backstory. I know we've heard about her parents and her sisters. Have we ever actually seen them?
No, they don't have designs.
No, I didn't think so. They're not people.
No. They're there in theory.
She is a two-dimensional person. That's it.
It is really sad. As I said,
Hey, she's not one-dimensional like Izumi.
pooping on the wooden floor, not on the carpet. She's not rolling around in her poo. She just she poops on the wood floor and she cries a bit, and then you clean it up. You say, okay,
this
at least I can clean it up.
Actually grossing me out, so you can stop now.
So then there's a huge tree. It's called the World Tree.
Oh, look, I get it, because that's what... Look, if Yggdrasil's not going to be the World Tree, then I guess if he lives in the World Tree, then that's alright.
In the dub, it's the Server Tree.
Boo!
I don't know why they changed this. I guess I get it. It's a reference to computers and stuff, and that's what we always name things after in the Digimon world. But it's a World Tree.
Not in this digital world, you don't.
Gotsumon says that this is where Yggdrasil is, and Masaru says that his dad must have climbed the tree.
That is an interesting theory. When one would imagine if a tree this big, you could get inside from the bottom, like the Deku tree.
So Craniumon shows up, and I forgot to mention this when we were briefly discussing the last episode, but I love Craniumon's dub voice. It is so good.
I don't remember it.
It's so like regal and just like yes. It's just very Sir Knight, and it is a good voice. It's not goofy because you look at Craniumon. If he has a goofy voice, I'm gonna die. Like, that is not a goofy character.
Weird, evil Digimon.
His voice fits him really well, and I'm just over the moon about the casting. It sounds so good. It is like, how often have we got a very scary designed Digimon and we are just given a dumb, stupid voice?
I can't really think of it.
Noisy Tusk. Sorry. Like, Phantom.
Oh, you're right.
Phantomon's a good example of just like scary design, dumb voice.
Metal Phantomon, I think, had a normal voice, right?
It was Trubimon.
So it did.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But it didn't fit, you're right, as well.
Like, the Trubimon voice isn't that scary. It is very, like, evil, but it's not scary.
You're right. But
to be fair, it's a giant bunny. It's not meant to be scary.
Oh,
Craniumon's voice is is so fitting. Like,
Yeah.
even if you aren't watching the dub, I suggest you just find a clip of Craniumon talking in the English dub because it is so good.
This is my favorite part of the episode because all the kids as Digimon evolve, and Gotsumon immediately recognizes Shine Greymon as the Digimon who landed him from the sky.
Sorry, can I interrupt you because you're skipping a bit?
No, I want to finish.
Okay, yeah, no, finish, but then there's a bit I want to say that you skipped.
He recognizes Shine Greymon. He gets really angry, and you can see like the gears turn and him becoming evil all over again, just like for this much pettier reason. And then Masaru just shouts at him, and he's like, "That's not a manly thing to do. Just be cool already." And like he shouts Gotsumon into being friends.
Well, in the dub, he says, "Did I make myself clear?" And it's more obvious Gotsumon is in fear, and in the original, it just seems that he's in awe of him, saying, "But come on, look, we trusted you. Now you have to trust us." And that's what men do.
It's so
and
cool.
It's sort of like Gotsumon is convinced because he's just so impressed with him. But in the dub, it's just, "Did I make myself clear?" And Gotsumon's like in fear.
If you like Masaru, you're gonna love Gurren Lagann.
I like Masaru. He's great. He's a good friend.
Because one of the characters in Gurren Lagann is basically Masaru, but like times infinity. It's great. Carmen is the best. Thomas
says that even with his intelligence, he doesn't understand what happened. In the dub, he said, "Look, I don't think this technique will work on Craniumon." But just a bit, just as Craniumon shows up, he threatens to slice Masaru's heart out. In the dub, Craniumon is introducing himself, and Marcus says, "Look, I'm Marcus Damon, and I don't care who you are."
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about this whole bit at the beginning, because I just had it written down as there's, Craniumon's attacks so fast, you can't even see him, and I'm just like, yeah, that just means the animators were really lazy today.
Well, in the dub, it's, he hurt him without lifting a finger. And then, actually, he did lift a finger. It was just too fast.
Great.
But no, you're right. It means the animators were a bit lazy.
It's just really lazy. We didn't want to have to move his model or anything.
So, Masaru punches the attack and he got Digisoul. And he doesn't go to burst mode. And then there's a scene with Gotsumon remembering Shine Greymon, which you already had. Masaru gets the Geos Grey sword out. Craniumon has a weapon too.
Wait,
and
you
this
forgot.
Is sick.
You forgot when Masaru goes, "Hey, go Shine Grey," and then Gotsumon's like, "Go get him!"
Yeah, that was cute. That was cute.
So Geo Graysword came back. I was surprised. Wasn't expecting it. I think he goes to burst. No, he doesn't go to burst mode yet.
Not yet.
He's losing with the Geo Greysword.
No, we get a 6 sword fight, and also Craniumon has an attack called End Waltz, which I have very vivid flashbacks of fighting against Craniumon in Cyber Sleuth, and this attack doing a lot of damage. So I don't want to talk about this attack. I'm getting war flashbacks.
I always think about there's a move that the third boss in Persona 4 does, and it would constantly wipe my entire team in one hit, and I was always really upset about it, and I always remember that. No, but in this one, he loses the sword fight and he's about to get stabbed, and the most insane thing that has ever happened in this show happens. Masaru goes up and punches Craniumon in the tip of his sword and blocks the sword stab with his fist, and he's okay.
It's sick, though.
So, it is completely confirmed that Masaru has superpowers. Because it's one thing for that orange glow to be, representative of his emotions. It is another thing that his fist stops the sharp end of a sword.
Yes. Oh, no, it makes no sense. It's the same level of sense as when Masaru was in a ball of fire in Shine Greymon's hand. It's cool. Very cool. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Alright, so here's the implication, right? If the sword... Are we agreed that the sword, if it had hit Shine Greymon, would have stabbed him in the chest?
Yes.
Is his chest, by any chance, made of chrome Digizoid?
Oh no, not chrome Digizoid.
Well, he's got all this armor on. Would you assume that? Or maybe it's metal, right?
I feel like chrome Digizoid is only mentioned in Adventure.
No, it got mentioned in the English versions of other things. Assuming that he's made of chrome Digizoid because he's a Greymon, and that would make the most sense, that means that Masaru's fist is more dense than chrome Digizoid?
Who would win in a fight, Masaru's fist or Imperial Dramon?
Imperial Dramon is the strongest one of all, mate.
No, he's the strongest Digimon of all.
Oh, that's... Yeah, I guess that's technically true.
I just want Imperial Dramon to show up, and then Masaru just shouting him, saying, "Fight me!" 100%. Even if Masaru didn't have a partner Digimon, I feel like Masaru still would have tagged along just to, fight Digimon, on his own. Because even when Agumon was an egg, Masaru tried to punch Belphmon.
He would have done it too.
Like, it's, like, at some point it's like, he's not just punching because he wants to get the Digisoul. I think that's a convenient thing that happens. I just feel like he just wants to punch the Digimon.
So, I said Masaru confirmed more powerful than most of the team's Digimon. Because the only thing more powerful than Masaru's fist is Shangreimon in burst mode.
Yes.
Speaking of which, he goes to burst mode, everyone's like, oh, it's that again. And they're about to beat Craniumon, and then all the other Royal Knights show up.
Which is good. At least we don't have, like, you know, one episode per showing up of a Royal Knight.
That would have been so frustrating, because there's like 9 of them.
That would have been Schrodinger's filler. So, of course, we get Dukemon, which is
that would have been Schrodinger's filler.
Dukemon's so good, but I feel like
he's out of place.
When we're introduced to each of them, Gotsumon says, and Omegamon. Like, it's meant to mean something special.
Well, it probably means that he's the strongest one of them, and he probably is.
Well, he's made up of 2 Ultimate Digimon.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird seeing him there. Omnimon and Dukemon and Magnamon, all of them seem out of place, because we know they're from other seasons.
Also, do you like All Force Veedramon?
I honestly don't remember it. When you ask me, oh, all these new Digimon were introduced, I'm not going to tell you what it looks like. I don't remember.
In the dub, I'm surprised they didn't get Takato and Gilmon's voice together.
We kind of wish they did, but it would be so bad.
It was it would have been good, but that's how it was in Frontier. We had the Takato and Gilmon joint voice. In the original, we have the Dragon Ball Goku voice, though. In the original, at least, Dukemon's voice.
Well, the old grandma.
It's Goku. Remember?
No.
It's Goku.
No.
Yes, we were talking about how Gilmon is Goku.
No, I don't remember.
It's grandma voice.
Yeah, grandma.
I love Dukemon. And we get other Royal Knights. And also, I just want to talk about...
Sorry, I love Japanese grandma because that, as far as I'm aware, the Japanese grandma who played Goku, at least one of them, was on like a Japanese bus and like there was some kids being really rude. So she just started speaking like Goku at them and they all freaked out. It was great.
I think you mention that every time we talk about Goku.
I love Japanese grandmas.
Me too. Same.
It's so tough.
Same,
They
honestly.
live through everything.
I just want to point out something that really annoyed me in the dub. So we get introduced to all the Royal Knights. We get Lord Nightmon,
Yeah.
who we know in Frontier to be called Crusadermon. Nope, Lode Nightmon. Not Lord Nightmon, not Rodo Nightmon, it's Lode Nightmon.
They're like electric or something. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. I would have liked if they like screwed it up and switched the names around. I was like, this is Paladimon.
And nobody has said that they're meant to be good guys yet. So you must be so happy.
I'm pretty happy with that. I'm actually mostly disappointed, honestly. I
Really?
kind of wish the streak continued,
But-
but it's probably better this way.
I would have liked if maybe one of the humans said, but Royal Knights, wouldn't that mean that they're good guys? And Gotsman says, well, they follow their own sense of justice, or they do whatever's right for their god.
You know what makes no sense? Why are they called Royal Knights? They never work for a king or queen. Like, ever. They're divine knights.
Well, King Drasil.
That's the English.
Yeah, so at least it's correct in the English version.
No, but they should be the divine knights. That makes so much more sense.
So they all get pretty much beaten, and Masaru has a memory of wanting to take a frog home, but his dad said that the frog has a family too, so he has to let him go. The Royal Knights are all bowing, and it turns out to be Masaru's dad, who is Yggdrasil. Also, he calls them insolent troll. Like the Royal Knights. He calls the humans insolent trolls.
Yeah. I think it's really weird that... No, what's really strange here is Masaru, when he sees his dad, his heartache is so strong, the psychic resonance of it blows up a picture frame back at his house.
Yeah, which... Again, it's one of those things that doesn't make necessary sense, but is pretty, like, it's a good moment.
So dad's really cold. He's just fading his kid entirely. It's clear that Masaru's dad's, like, not in there at all.
Well, in the English version, he still has the voice.
Yeah. So it's very obvious that Masaru's dad is not the operative factor here. And then he orders the Royal Knights to kill all the kids. They try. And then something called Sleepmon shows up, and a different Sleepmon, not the Sleepmon that was Belfmon for real.
I think it's Sleepmon.
I know it's Sleepmon or something, but it's Sleepmon. But that's how they pronounce it, more or less. It just comes by and saves them, and there's no explanation of it, and it leaves.
So who do you think Sleepmon is?
Like a rogue Royal Knight.
Well, he's a Royal Knight. Yeah, you're right.
Sweet, called it.
But that's not a huge spoiler because it's just.
It looks like one.
What do you think of both these episodes as someone who's new to Digimon?
I mean, I thought that the clip show was unnecessary. Like, okay, it was necessary only in one respect, in that it really felt to me like they said, boy, this story doesn't make a lot of sense, but if we really condense it down, maybe we can make some semblance of like, oh yeah, no, it all actually came together, doesn't it?
Though I also think it's better than... Like, we've already done to death the whole Digimon want to kill humans because of one human, right?
Yeah.
And now Yggdrasil has taken that same sort of idea, but has actually said, because it's them or us, and I don't...
Oh no, I think...
I wouldn't, but I have to.
I think his motivation is excellent. I think it's really strong. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's rock solid.
How did you rate both these episodes?
This is tough, right? Because this first episode is such a it's such a waste your time flashback episode.
I think it's decent because it actually it gives Yggdrasil an actual reason for being bad.
I get that, but so I have to read the whole episode. It was a boring mess, so it's like low. But if I have to read just the new content, then that was pretty good.
I gave it a 6 because the reasoning
That's probably
was good,
fair.
But the thing is, I can't within my soul give a clip show more than a 6.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at as well.
And that's good. Like a 6 for a clip show is, I think, a clip show
Full
can do.
marks for your clip show crap.
The Atmon one I gave a 1 because of
it was trash.
Because the only redeeming thing about the Atmon clip show
was the count.
Was the counter.
Yeah.
Everything else was just sort of like, okay.
It wasn't entertaining in any way.
And when we got Sasha to watch it to see if it explained things,
it wasn't good as a recap.
Sasha said, "You explained more when you sat me down and told me like the basics of the show. I understood nothing from this recap." And that's bad. A recap should recap. It doesn't, like, oh no.
That's alright. The Japanese people have taken to it, and it's, the 11th best anime of the season or something?
Yep.
So, I guess it didn't need it when they moved over to the other channel or whatever?
Yeah, but it did do
Is
good.
it by, like, fan vote? Like, how was that assessed?
It's fan vote. I
Okay,
think
so it's not by ratings.
I haven't actually voted in it yet. I probably should.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how Pokemon's doing at the moment, because but I know at one point Digimon was outranking the current Pokemon season, and I've heard this current Pokemon season is quite good.
Fair enough.
And it just blows my mind that I don't think a Digimon season has ever outranked a Pokemon season.
Because no Digimon season has ever been good.
Tamers and Savers.
Hey!
Yeah.
Savers is not good.
I'm liking Savers.
Don't be... I know you like to be generous, but it's not.
So what about the second episode then? What did you rate that?
It's a lot slow. Like, not even, like, slower in the sense... I think it doesn't use its time very well, but it's functional. It's fine. I'd give it... If I was really generous, I'd give it a 7.
I gave it a 7. Do we agree?
That's probably about right.
Because, like, I don't know, I feel like it is better than previous episodes we've had.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, there's nothing great about it.
I like when the Royal Knights showed up. I don't know why.
Well, yeah, because you like Digimon.
And I also think the Sleep one was really cool.
There are like 90% of the time that you go, I like this. I don't know why. It's because there's Digimon in it.
No, but I know the moment when Masaru wakes up from like a daydream of his dad saying, "Hey now, son, we can't take the frog," and then him immediately seeing his father, who is Yggdrasil, and he's trying to kill all the humans. It's
I think they should have shown us more of these moments beforehand. More of these, like, Masaru flashing back to his dad. Because they do a good job of making sure you know that all the Digimon think he's the coolest dude in the world. This would make so much more sense if he punched a hole in the ground and created water if he was God the whole time.
No, but seriously, you're right.
No, like, if we established him as a family man more, I think we'd do better. We've literally never seen any flashback where he's with the mom, ever.
Or how he was when Masaru was a kid. And
except right now.
That would be interesting to see, because I
think that would have given this moment much more resonance for the audience.
It's still very sweet though, this moment, and the fact that the effect that, yes, okay, it makes no sense, but the photo frame popping off and breaking, I know it's a very thematic scene, and I really do like it. I know
You're right. This ham-fisted metaphor is incredible.
What about how it compared to predictions of Obnoxious Synopsis?
I honestly thought that Yggdrasil's reasoning would be really dumb, and I thought the Royal Knights would be dumb as well.
You gave both a 4, I'm pretty sure.
Something like that, yeah. So I was just wrong.
That's good.
I'm willing to
and you're like, oh man, it's just I'm going to be so annoyed if the Royal Knights are introduced.
Well, I didn't end up getting annoyed. It's a weird segment in Obnoxious Synopsis, because I'm like, if this happens, I'll find it really annoying, and if it doesn't happen, I guess I was technically wrong, even though
but you were disappointed.
All I'm guessing was how would I be annoyed or not if this happened.
Look,
I'm disappointed because the streak is broken. I'd be disappointed if a Leomon didn't die.
I think everyone would be sad if a Leomon didn't die.
Also, there's a vindication that I could hold to my chest if like the Royal Knights are always complete trash, and now they're just mostly complete trash.
Oh, the Royal Knights are always evil, I want to say.
Well, in this one,
or they're questionable. They're not so much evil as they're questionable.
They're fully evil in the other two things I've ever seen with them in.
They're always obeying Yggdrasil, and Yggdrasil usually wants to just destroy some world. In Cyber Sleuth, he wanted to destroy the human world because, for basically the same motivation, the human world was destroying the digital world because they built it. Okay, in Cyber Sleuth, humans.
Are you gonna spoil the game for everyone?
No. It's been out for like 2 years.
Are you spoiling it for everyone, man?
No.
Seriously?
Okay, I'm just saying,
what's up with that? I mean, just...
in Cyber... You didn't even want to play it.
I really don't.
In Cyber Sleuth, the humans build a digital world of their own, and it is just destroying the digital world. Like the Digimon digital world.
Sure.
And so Digimon are kind of crossing over into their own digital world because it's kind of like... They exist on the same level. So Yggdrasil's saying, these guys are destroying our world. Why are they doing that? I'm going to send the Royal Knights to kill them. So that's their reason in Cyber Sleuth.
Okay.
From what I remember. And then in X Evolution, the Royal Knights they ended up beating up Yggdrasil anyway. And there were only a couple of them.
Doraemon did.
And in Frontier, there were 2 Royal Knights. So...
Yes. And in Try, they're also weird.
Well, no, we have 2 Royal Knights fighting each other. We have 3 Royal Knights fighting each other.
Yeah.
Because Jessumon and Alphamon were both fighting each other, and they're both Royal Knights. Jesusmon is the most recent addition.
Jesusmon.
Yeah. And then we have Omegamon, who is a Royal Knight.
Yeah.
And I think Imperial Drum and Paladin mode's also one.
Look, we're going to talk about this a lot more in the future, so let's move on.
Unless they just drop the whole Royal Knights thing.
Yeah, I doubt that. It's in the intro.
What was the major difference between the Japanese and English version? Because I did not get much in the second episode.
In the second episode, I got nothing for you.
I feel it was maybe the whole, this is what a man does, and then got someone respecting it, and in the dub it's, do you understand that? And got someone being in fear.
I'll agree with that, sure.
But that's like, the second one didn't have that many differences.
No, not so much. Not much happened.
I guess Craniumon didn't threaten to sever the limbs of anyone.
We can't go through the air because it's turbulent. We can't go through the air because we've run out of energy. Like, that?
Yeah, but there's nothing huge. However, in the first one...
Oh, it's that, Dats is great. No, Dats is evil. That's it.
Yeah, that's a pretty big one because, as I said, I prefer when they say, look, I respect Dats and I give them credit, but humans are still bad and we still have to destroy their world. Royal Knights, what do you think of them so far?
They're fine. I don't know. Like, their reasoning for being here is fine, but right now they're a weird amalgam of nobodies.
And what do you think about the fact we had a clip show? Because I was
unnecessary.
so worried. I was so worried to say, well, I'm not going to watch this episode.
The problem with it as well is that, like, a clip show is there for somebody who either misses episodes or is watching it over a period of time that's twice as long, at least, as the way we're watching it. So it's to remind people who this has been going on for a long time or have missed stuff. Whereas we haven't missed anything. In fact, we've watched it all twice. And we've been watching it twice as fast as people are meant to watch these things. Yes. So in all circumstances, we're in the worst position to watch a clip show. Like,
this is meant to be like a year after. Like, in the original airing, this would have been a year after it first aired, so you might have forgotten some things, or maybe some people might have started watching, like, 20 episodes in.
Yeah, I was just so bored.
No, I didn't, 100% enjoy the clip show, but I still felt like they gave a good enough reason, and they also gave Yggdrasil reasons for wanting to kill the humans, which I think is fine. So he basically said, hey, babe, you want to go kill all humans?
Kill all humans?
So, screenshot of the week this week. My weekly screenshot is just Masaru saying, go in the butt to get the tiger cub.
Mine is Lalamon vomiting sand.
Fair enough, that was pretty
they
funny.
give him a really funny sound clip in the English. It's like...
It's funny. Also, Digimon introduced these episodes. I just want to say we forgot Ravemon last time. I'm sorry. Rest in peace, Ravemon. What were your thoughts on Ravemon? Did you have any thoughts? Do you remember?
I don't remember what he looks like now, and he showed up in this episode.
He's Kamen Rider, basically. He looks like a Kamen Rider, but with wings. No thoughts? That's your response?
Yes.
I like his design. I really think it's cool.
That's fine, you're allowed.
I think it's definitely Falcomon's coolest evolution.
I said just now the reason I had nothing is I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's his coolest evolution. The Royal Knights, and any particular Royal Knights that stood out to you.
I like Omnimon.
He's got a good design. He's got a good design. He also looks like 2 Digimon was smushed together, though.
Yeah, that's not true. Not really. He looks like 1 Digimon, and then he's got weird things in his arms.
Do you have
I always wondered when I was younger,
yeah?
what's the middle Digimon? Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, that's just a combination of it.
I know, but I always thought there were 3 Digimon involved.
Even in the clip when we got him in our war game, it just sort of it's like the humans become that body.
I guess.
Like all the humans that are watching the fight. I don't know. Do you have any favorites besides Omegamon?
I like Dukemon because he's from Tamers and Tamers is alright.
I like how the Royal Knights speak. Like, I, Craniumon, or I, Dukemon.
Is it because you're going to forget their name because there's 9 of them?
I don't know, I love them. I love them so much. Ulforce Vegemon's the coolest looking though. He's pink and blue. Come on, you can't go wrong with my friend.
I can't remember what he looks like at
cool.
all.
He's cool. I love him. He's my friend. He's my friend. I love him.
I like how in the Japanese, the subtitle called that one Raw the Nightmon.
I like how they didn't use Crusadermon in the dub. You know, the name they already gave the character.
I know.
Why?
Load
Why?
Nightmon.
For Postmon Pat this week, first up, we have the weekly poll. And this week, the question was, which version of Shine Greymon do you prefer? Regular, Ruin, or Burst? Jay, what do you prefer?
I guess, honestly, probably regular, because it's just, like, less... It's not overly complicated. But, like, Ruin is less interesting color-wise, and Burst has a lot of weird additional effects that I don't think give it any that much design benefit.
Well, we didn't actually get any comments this week, so I'll just read out the votes. So we had 12 votes, and the votes were Burst Mode with 3 votes, Ruin Mode with 4 votes, and the winner was Regular with 5 votes.
Yes, I am correct. I am on the real side of history.
I like Ruin Mode.
We got some letters as well. We got one on With the Will from Takeshi, who says, looking back at Tamers, they really didn't like the last 20 episodes. Also, it has nothing to do with Jury. They dislike Ruki and Renamon's development because in the first 10 episodes, they went from the strongest Digimon tamer to the weakest in the last 10. It also doesn't help that after a while, the amount of kids with Digimon tripled. Talmon was useless past Vegiramon, and Sakuyamon was only decent when she first evolved, and after then she was nothing but a paperweight. I'm not saying there's anything bad with going from speedy offense to defensive, but the way Tamers handled it to me is especially annoying considering that the kind of character Ruki is. She started off cold, distant, and wanted to have the strongest Digimon and nothing would get in her way. These are good traits for a strong female character, but as soon as she started to warm up to people and realizing there are certain things she can't do, her character devolved into another generic supporter who sucked at her job. Also, it doesn't help that Ryo was pretty much only there to show how much better than Ruki he was, and Sakuyamon gave up her powers for a failed attempt of an attack and never really did anything since. Overall, what they did with Ruki was heavily reflected on other female characters like Izumi and Yoshi by making them more support-based and more useless than the guy with the red Digimon. And watching Frontier, and man, Jay gets right to the point with how bad the series will be, even from episode 1. By the way, episode 10 is their breaking point. Wow, Takeshi does not like those seasons of Digimon, and you know what? I get it.
So I'm actually fine with Ruki's character development, and I believe we went on that bit when we were talking about Tamers, but I think it's fine that the way she warmed up to people, because it wasn't like sudden, and it was over the whole season, so I'm fine with that being a story, but I do understand what Takeshi means when they say, oh, this character became useless.
You mean that an ultimate evolution that isn't the main characters wasn't any good after their evolution episode? Wow, I've never seen that in Digimon before.
Well, I think that's a huge problem that Digimon has, is that the other characters, especially the female characters, seem to be a lot weaker than the main character.
Is this why Eri is best girl? The answer is yes, that's why.
Because none of the characters in Atmon, like, no one seemed stronger or weaker. Actually, Eri seemed actually the strongest.
Eri was...
because the god one was invincibility.
Like, they always had an equal level of evolution, and by the end of the show, they were all equally as infinitely powerful as each other. And it was great. And the main character never had an advantage based on his Digimon was just better. So I think he would get to the higher levels first, but he was never the only one there by the end. And the only reason he was even like the main character is because he had a personal relationship with... He had a more personal relationship with like the bad guy.
Yeah, but that was Haru's arc in Atmon.
Yeah, and the other characters had concluded their arcs more or less by that point, so it was fine because they got to have satisfying arcs that you got to travel along with them.
But they never became not characters once those arcs were finished.
Correct.
Once those arcs were tied up, we still had Astra and Eri being
Eri's
great.
arc arguably concluded at the election,
Yeah,
but even then, you got to have character moments where she's like, "Okay, I know the election happened, but
It's Leviathan.
but here are like the things I have to do now in my career differently." It's all really good. Basically, Avalon's the best.
Because that's like her storyline finished at episode 36, but she didn't stop becoming a character. Like we had Yoshino's character growth, but when have her character episodes ever been relevant again since?
Never.
Like her character has only ever been relevant in her episodes, and I don't know.
I would honestly forget that she's there most of the time. We got one from WildWing64 who says that I might be a bit late on this discussion point since you've already had a poll on this and reached the part where Tama actually didn't switch sides at all, but the comparison with Yamato's heel turn adventure is interesting, and while Yamato being convinced by Doraemon to turn on his friends is silly, I believe it may be justifiable to an extent. Look, everything's justifiable to an extent. That's fair enough. Everyone knows why Matt did it. It's just silly that he did anyway. Yamato, like Tama, was influenced by his feelings towards his younger sibling. Takeru has grown, and rather than accepting his growth, Yamato suddenly comes to the conclusion that this means his brother doesn't need him anymore, which is arguably much sillier and more plot convenient than him being tricked by a tree. He's emotionally compromised, and Doraemon is able to take advantage of this by manipulating him and turning him on the others. Also, we've gone back on this, and it's this emotional vulnerability and all that stuff. We've sort of... I've conceded that I was wrong because Thomas identified a bomb necklace on his sister, and it makes way more sense now. I think it's also fair to point out that while the Chosen Children / Digidestined are dealing with life and world-threatening scenarios on a regular basis, showing varying levels of maturity as they deal with these threats, ultimately they're still just kids. Even at 10 to 11 years old, kids tend to be prone to manipulation, and Doraemon doing this to Yamato is consistent with Pico Devimon doing the same to Sora and TK, and Digitamamon with Joe and Matt in the restaurant. It's either that or Yamato's basically a moron. I think we've seen in everything Matt's ever done is that he is just in fact a moron. There's plenty of evidence to that. Also, I want to take the moment now to apologize to May directly for all the arguments we had about Thomas' heel turn, because I was very violently arguing my side of it, and in hindsight I do have to completely concede. I don't think any of your arguments were correct, but I was definitely wrong.
No, I can understand that.
The only argument that is correct is there's a bomb on his sister, and I go, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, well, at least there's that, right?
That's all I needed to know. I got on Tumblr from Elivorg who says, Toma asking why Kurata fused with Belphemon when he hates Digimon is a good question, but it also has a good answer. Kurata only hates Digimon because he can't control them, so he's afraid they could attack him at any moment. He wants them dead because if they're dead, then they're not outside his control. But if he's control of a Digimon, like he is with Gearsmon and the biohybrids, he's fine. He once said, Digimon are only useful when you use them as tools, which pretty much sums up this point. So long as he's in control, Belphemon is just a tool to make him more powerful. Jay was always bothered that Kurata can talk his way into power, but when he's also a raving madman. But he is capable of sounding reasonable when he wants to. When he was talking to the governor prior to the reveal that he was evil, and when he was talking to Tom about curing his sister, for a point of clarification there, when he was talking to the Minister of Confidentiality, yeah, he sounded halfway reasonable, but I don't think any normal government official would have gone along with this guy. It just so happened the Minister of Confidentiality is clearly an idiot. I think the duality of him only revealing his evil side around people who already know he's evil does exist. The only thing I remember Jay mentioning that didn't fit with this is when he was cackling about genocide in front of his faceless goons while killing Mercurimon. But if you assume he has some level of control over the goons, perhaps money like with Ivan, then that doesn't matter either. Also, and that's a stretch, honestly, because you can't... It's hard to stop a group of 10 people if one person starts going, my boss was just laughing about genocide the other day. Maybe they don't know that... So, has Kurata sat down with them and made them sign non-disclosure agreements about anything he says on the job? Like,
I guess so.
No, but that's such a weird... There's such a stretch of logic there that covers the bases to make this work. Also, as to where he got the money from, the Norsteins, maybe? He hasn't actually cured the sister or done anything or given her any treatments, but maybe he's been given billions and billions of dollars. There's no way. There's no way you have enough money to save your robot army based on promising to cure someone's daughter and not having done it. I don't believe it. I just simply... The only way you can get this amount of money is through governments, and he's only approached the government now, not 5 years ago. Admittedly, this doesn't work for his original massacre, since that was too long ago, but it at least gives him a source of money in the more recent years. Thomas' dad would throw any amount of money at him for the tiniest chance of saving Rilena. Look, Thomas' family's rich, don't get me wrong, they're definitely rich. I don't think they've got more money than God, which is... they're not Tony Stark rich, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
They're not independent robot wealthy. The other thing Jay always complained about was Kurata turning evil just because he got spooked. This implies that Kurata was a good person all along until the expedition, but there's no proof of that. He was almost certainly always kind of a scumbag, and that just didn't really show in any particularly noticeable way. After all, Suguru, the coolest guy ever, trusted him enough to hire him. All the expedition and being scared by Digimon did was bring Kurata's awful side out. Look, I don't mean to say that he was a good person and then he got spooked. What I mean is that every action he takes afterwards, which includes making the robots, beginning the genocide, failing once, and going back, and it's been literally like years of his life, all of those actions were based on getting spooked. Because you can't say he would have done that if he didn't get spooked, if he never went to the digital world, because he wouldn't have. They said they're glad that May noticed the line from Yoshi that implies she suspected Toma was still on their side all along. That implication isn't really there in the dub, and it's a shame. This is what they were trying to get at with their point last week, defending the others' lax views on Toma's apparent betrayal. I apologize for not explaining themselves well. I definitely didn't mean to sound like they were remotely okay with advocating genocide. Their point was that so long as there's no proof that Toma has outright murdered a Digimon, which would be impossible to take back, there remains a reasonable possibility from the perspective of people like Yoshi, who know he should be a better person than this, that his claim to be on Kurata's side is just a lie. Which implies that it's only designed to trick Masaru and Kurata, which is an odd position.
I still love that line. It's not a super big thing, but I don't know, I really liked it.
The moment when Masaru yelled to Shine Greymon before activating Burst Mode was not at all similar to when he went to Ruin Mode. The emotions for the Ruin Mode moment were uncontrollable anger and desire to hurt. The emotions for the Burst Mode moment were worry for his friends and a desperate desire to protect. That was never going to trigger Ruin Mode again, even if Shine Greymon hadn't done the telepathy thing.
I think they're good opposites. Like, I feel like you can contrast between the two.
All Shine Greymon's words did was help Masaru to focus his emotions into a more controlled form. Because yes, the dojo episode was a bit of a mess, but one part that was clear was the part about controlling emotions. Maybe it's because they love Savers for its own sake and not because it's Digimon, but it bugs them when people criticize Savers for quote-unquote copying something that Adventure happens to do first. The real point should be about which of them does it better. In Adventure, the digital world in the sky was just a narrative device to build drama and is never relevant again. In Savers, the digital world in the sky is going to crash into the human world and destroy them both, which is kind of important to the plot. Plus, in Savers, the reason it happened is well set up because the barrier between the worlds has been weakening for ages, such that Belthamon's portal shenanigans cause it to collapse. In Adventure, the Dark Masters were being so evil that it distorted the universe or something, and that's fair enough. I'm not going to argue with that. I don't think that Adventure necessarily did it better. The only thing Adventure did was make it so simple, and that's like it gave it a little explanation and everything. It made it so simple that it's like it wasn't important enough to think about.
I feel like the stakes were higher in Savers.
Yeah, they are higher. Definitely. Well, the stakes are something is the difference. And I guess the one thing that like the digital world showing up in the sky sort of told everyone else that a digital world existed in a world where only these kids knew. Whereas in Savers, obviously, a lot of people already know, and it's just, look, there it is.
Yeah, that's fair.
So the impact is a little bit diminished. Alright, everybody, join us for the next episode of Pingu, Father and Son Destiny.
I'm sorry, Pingu as in the penguin?
Yes.
That's not an anime.
It is. Look at my anime list. It was like number 1 for a week or 2.
Really?
Yes.
That's an anime now? I remember watching that as a kid.
This is a meme. It's still animated the same way,
Okay.
but it's a bit of a meme.
Okay, is this how Babadook was a gay icon?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Babadook as a gay icon and Pingu is anime.
Okay, and the alternate name for that episode is Confirm It With a Fist. Thoughts of My Father.
And Thomas Bursts the Cassine.
Or the burst mode of Thomas' determination. Yeah. For Weekly Wonders this week, I'm going to recommend a board game. I don't think it was called like a boardy, cardy game thing. It is called One Night Ultimate Werewolf. It is very fun. I've been playing a lot of it lately with my new friend Bray.
I'd call it a tabletop game.
I'm gonna force my good friend Bray on the podcast sometime, and then he's not going to be my friend anymore. Mitch actually wants to come back. He actually listened to the episode he was on.
Oh, that's cute.
But I know I'm going to force my friends on this podcast.
I used to listen to the show. Then I was like, nah, that's enough of my own voice.
I have to listen to this show. I hate listening to my own voice.
Yeah,
I hate my voice. My voice is so like
yeah,
croaky.
years of practice.
It's just like, oh god, my voice. But no, it's a One Night Ultimate Werewolf. It's like a
social deception game.
I love social deception games, and also this one's probably like the best one I've played because it's so advanced. It's just got a lot of things going on, lots of different characters. I like because you can lie even if you're a good guy, you can lie just to get information.
It's a lot easier to lie, but also I think the one thing it does have, which is unfortunate, that is like that other games like Secret Hitler do better, is that there are setups and there are basically the way the game plays is that everyone has a secret role, and a lot of them have different little powers that can be, and you have to figure out who's a werewolf. Sometimes there aren't werewolves, and sometimes there's one or two. And a really big thing about the game that's fairly rare for social deception games is that your team can get switched while like during the night, so you don't know.
Yeah, like if you were a werewolf and you look at your card like, oh no, I'm a werewolf, and then you put your card down and someone could switch that with another player.
And you don't get to look at it later. So one of the big things that can happen that is both interesting and undermines social deception is if you go, I was a werewolf and I've been switched now, I'm on the other team and I can totally rat out the person who is now a werewolf.
But also, someone could just say, okay, I switched you, and if one person says, I was a werewolf, they can say, that's interesting, I was lying, I didn't switch you.
Yeah, no, and there's opportunities for lies, and which makes it complicated, but at the same time, it sometimes makes rounds really short, and sometimes it makes you like lose a game. It's like, well, I was a good guy, and now I've become a werewolf, and there's someone's ratted me out, and I had no say in the matter.
Like, the best play is to be a seer, and to pick up a card, and the card that you... So a seer is a character who can look at any player's card or two from the middle. So if I was playing, and Jay was also playing, and I was a seer, I could pick up his card.
Yeah.
And it could say, werewolf. And then I would know Jay's a werewolf. So if no one switches him, I can just say... Jay's a werewolf, guys. I saw the card because I'm the seer. And if people believe you and you're not just a werewolf who saw that there was a seer in the center and saw that, like...
We're going way too deep into this. I know we're both excited about a game that was fun.
But the point is that it could easily end if you're a seer and you look at someone's card and say, yep, that person's was a seer. And especially if someone happens to see your card at some point, because of whatever their card is, it is very good. I know, it's interesting.
I don't think I did anything special this week. Have I talked about Mario Odyssey yet?
I think so. Maybe not.
I don't know. I played Mario Odyssey, I guess. It's really good. I'm still playing it. It's great.
I haven't picked it up yet because I need to finish Danganronpa.
It's super good. It's Mario 64 all over again, and I can't believe it. The only thing it doesn't have that Mario 64 did is a big overworld, and I'm not even sure it really needs that at all. And it has... Hold on. It has like 7 or 8 times as many like stars / moons in it. So yeah, it's great. You should play it. If you don't have a Switch and you want one, this is a system seller for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like the Switch has a few system sellers. It has The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god, that game is
Odyssey.
great.
I haven't even finished Breath of the Wild yet. It's the next on my list.
Oh my god, all of Nintendo's first party stuff is so excellent. It's so unfair to everyone else. They like... They're a 10 out of 10 machine.
Look, I think Splatoon's a fantastic game still. I just love it. It's such a good game. So you just... That's done for you for Mario Odyssey? You don't want to talk about Mario Odyssey anymore? Because I could talk about Ultimate Werewolf. Like join us next week for our Ultimate Werewolf podcast. Like, honestly, it is such a good game. So, for the link dumps, link in the description, where you can find our weekly poll. And this week's weekly poll is, was this clip show a waste of time? Yes or no?
Well, not entirely, but mostly.
You can find our screenshots of the week, and our weekly wonders, and our weekly poll, linked in the description and in our link dump. Our Redbubble is also linked in the description, and you can get more than just shirts there too, so please check that out. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will and a Reddit thread in the Digimon subreddit. And we would appreciate if you would view us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app that you use. Ratings really assist people finding out the podcast, so please do that because we really appreciate it. We also have a website, and you can vote in our weekly polls, check out our release schedule, and check out our blog posts. You can also donate to our Patreon with a link in the description from as little as $1 a month. $1 a month gets you access to a list of Slack chat group, but there are higher levels, more rewards, such as notes, early episodes, and more.
And thank you to our Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, who has a podcast called The Moncast with Stevie, who is also Stevie Padman on Tumblr, is currently taking commissions there, Wuching Long, who you can find at twitch.tv/Wuching Long, Metalmon, Joe, Anime Guy, who is Anime Guy Kurosaki and the number 1 on YouTube, Chuck Mon, Hiro Lado, who's at Hiro Lado on Twitter, Jason Morosky, Ryuchi, who's Frost Mirajak on Archive of Our Own, Stephen Reeves, who's at WildWing64 on Twitter, Kaidawashi, Mac, Noam, Riku, Chisai, who you can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, Delety Bugman, whose anime blog you can find at baguburagu.wordpress.com, Glitchcode, Azra McCool, Gene Hackmon, who hosts New World Sonata, a sci-fi fantasy audio drama podcast, Matthew, Anthony, who's at AntoClassic on Twitter, Lizmit, who's Elecmon on Tumblr, Sithobi, Ellie Vorg, who's Ellie Vorg on Tumblr, Sporky McForkinsmoon, who hosts the Digimon podcast called Going Digital, Megan, Kyliek, Neobu, Jams, The Time Optimist, Silverhead Freak 25, Harvey, and Alex.
You can also make one donation at our PayPal, which is found in the description. It is paypal.me/Digimon. Make sure to listen to the podcast. See you guys next time. Bye!
Bye.